Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol, if any has been laid down. I am extremely honored and excited and thrilled to be here. When I was invited a few weeks ago, I received an email from out of the blues. And since I won this prize, I get all kinds of things. I wasn't quite sure what it was about until I actually received a physical visit at Babcock, and I started investigating this organization and taking it a little bit more seriously. And I was amazed at how much work has been done by this organization in an area that I find that I'm very passionate about. Years ago, I lived in Canada for about 10 years, and one of the things I really enjoyed doing was taking my children to the library. And then, of course, you come back to Nigeria, and that's not necessarily the case. One of the things I also really enjoyed as a student was, doing my graduate degrees, my master's and my PhD, was being able to sit down. I had young children, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, and I was juggling that with the research assistantship and so on while doing my degree. But I could sit down at home and access any articles, any journals, most books, not every book, but many books online. And that was years and years ago. And then, I came back, and of course, that wasn't the case. Many universities are now working really hard on building their online libraries and all of that. But of course, you have to be members of those universities. You have to have the subscription details and so on and so forth. So what that means is that a lot of us are left out of, a knowledge base and a knowledge buckets of knowledge that we could subscribe to. So I think, what we're doing here today is amazing, and what I really, really would like to talk about is how important it is, because now Zodml has gone out of its way, expended a ton of resources, but we would love to see uptake of this. It's free. That means you don't even have to know this organization. You don't even have to be part of it in any way in order to access it. I am definitely going home to let my children know about it. But let me take us back a little bit. In 2020, we discovered that the world can be run a different way. It had always been there. I told people I'm part of all kinds of webinars, across the world, you have meetings, but it almost always seemed like, it's people abroad that do those things. So if they invite you for a meeting, you find out how to log in. But what happened in 2020 was that we discovered that we were able to sit down at home or in wherever on our phones and have those meetings and do all kinds of work and so on. For those of us who run offices, I know how hard it has been to convince our staff to come back to work. I taught online. I teach at Babcock, and I taught my students online. And it was such a marvelous experience. And I can imagine that for young people going forward, this is part of your life. And so this direction that Zodml has moved in is, obviously a marvelous one. But it will only be marvelous and amazing and contributes in making us as big as we can be if we use it. The other thing I was going to say is that, we have all kinds of avenues to play around online now, all kinds of social media sites and all that. What I have always found very interesting, working with younger people, working with my students, is that while all these things are available, what I still find is that it is maybe people of my generation and above, who are actually making use of it in ways that actually contribute to knowledge. Maybe because we, in a sense, that's what we sort of came up with. So you find people spending maybe hours and hours on Instagram, spending hours and hours, and not necessarily doing all the digital things that I know are very helpful. They're not necessarily, they're just scrolling through pictures, looking at reels, and so on and so forth. And all of that time could be spent gathering knowledge. We can sit here and get admission wherever. We can sit here and get certification wherever. That's what the world is now. And so I find this endeavor, this initiative, to be a brilliant one in every way. And my hope is that with whatever else is going on with ASU strike, as we've heard, with the rest of the world, with a phone, we can actually go places. We can actually become the most sought after in anything, right? For those of us who are writers, for example, or we know that the most important thing for a writer is to be able to read. All those books, all those resources are going to be available on this site. And it is free. It's almost strange, but it is free. And I think that that's, it's a blessing. But my hope and my prayer and my earnest desire for us, especially younger people, but they say it's free. So even people like myself and older, we can all access it, is that we will actually take advantage of it. With that, I would like to say thank you very much for considering me worthy to come and give this speech. I understand there are prizes going to be given out, and I see the books going out and all of that, and I'm very, very thankful. And my hope also is that The Son of the House, my novel, will be one of the resources that will also be in the library. Thank you very much.